Welcome to Manchester Film Festival. Welcome to Norfolk Shorts 5. We're going to be talking about Icelandic poppies. That font makes that look like it's missing a letter. Again, I'm really dyslexic. I've covered this several times. Please introduce yourself and the film.
Well, I'm Anne-Sophie Lindgaard, and I wrote and directed Icelandic Poppies. Quite a personal film about dealing with anxiety. And drawn a lot of kind of stuff from my personal life. But this little delicate story about this young woman dealing with anxiety and kind of going from feeling very hopeless about the situation and then feeling more hopeful towards the end. Yeah.
Awesome. One of the things I really enjoyed, or the first thing I picked out, was like, it looks really autumnal. Like even the wallpaper is that kind of soft red colour. Everyone's wearing nice jumpers. There's no leaves on the trees. But it's a film about growth, and not to spoil the ending. Like there's that thing. Like that's a really interesting contrast. Was that deliberate, or is that just like happenstance?
It was definitely deliberate because we actually got funding in spring or early summer, and I told my producer, I was like, we cannot shoot this film in summer because I just see it being shot in like autumn, like in November or something. Like we need to wait. So we actually had a long time of just kind of development and not fully heading into pre-production until we then got closer to autumn. So that was a very, like specific choice for me, because to me it felt like a kind of autumnal film. And again, we shot it in Denmark, where I'm from and where I grew up. And in autumn, it just becomes so grey and depressing. You just have these open spaces that are just like grey. It just added something, I think, to kind of the state Agnes is in this film. And kind of made a nice juxtaposition with the whole like growing the puppies. And it brought humor to it as well. Like the whole thing about her trying to grow these flowers in the middle of November, where it's just like, impossible. Very, very deliberate choice, both kind of from a visual standpoint, but definitely also adding something to the narrative of it, for sure.
Thank you. I also really enjoyed it's a film, or I felt it's a film about being just a little bit disappointed and a little bit sad. And I enjoyed that, like often when you see films about where people deal with like, I don't know, mental health, that like it's like, oh, this is how we fix it, and then it's fixed and it's fine. Like this character almost has a cyclical approach. Is like she tries something different and it's a bit better but it doesn't quite work. She goes to buy poppies, can't find them leaves, but then she goes back and she tries again. Like, where does that come from?
I think again, one of the motivations for doing this film is that a lot of films depicting kind of anxiety, panic attacks, depression, whatever, are very dark, they're very dramatic. I've made a film previous to this that was exactly that, super dark. And then, because I had gone through something similar in my life, come back to the other side of it, and then just being like back to normal life. But now you just have this extra thing about you that's like, you have this part, a side of you that just makes you a bit more sensitive, I guess, or your brain a little bit more delicate. And I wanted to bring that into the film. I actually think the word delicate is the word I used most when I was like describing the films, like funding people, when I was speaking to my actors in pre-production, because I wanted it to be, I also wanted to treat the subject with a lot of respect and kind of bring in the mundane of it, because it's like, it's not like living with anxiety or depression or whatever it is. It's not necessarily like a spectacle. Like you just have to live your life with it. So there's something very mundane about it as well. And so that's why I decided to make a film that's very subtle in how it handles it. And I do think that, like, a lot of people have come up to me and said that it feels relatable, it feels real to them, how we've tried to show it, which obviously I'm very happy for, because I wanted to treat it with respect, basically.
Thank you. It has an interesting depiction of not just mental health, but mental health workers. Like certainly in, I don't know, the UK and kind of American media, I guess, we often see therapists that have these little square glasses, their office is very cold, and this is just a nice lady wearing a nice cardigan that we have a chat with sometimes. Was that deliberate, or is that again drawing from your own personal experiences?
No, it was definitely deliberate. I think the therapist, I also tried to bring in, again, a bit of humor into it, because she I just see her as this lady that I've definitely come across with like different forms of therapy as well. When you're on the countryside and you're not like in Copenhagen or whatever, you have these very calm ladies in their 40s who are like, again, and they have so many young people come in dealing with all of these things, and they have this calmness to them where they're like, don't worry, like it will be okay, hopefully. It's just I just wanted to bring in this therapist who had a bit more of like an alternative vibe about her, and she's wearing like her knitted jumper, and like you can tell she's a woman with like her feet planted very solidly on the ground. So I guess there is also a part of like I wanted to bring her in and have a bit of humor, but it also just felt authentic, I think, to like what it's like when you're not in like some big city or you're not in an American film or whatever. Because again, it's just, I think this is a bit more close to what it's actually like.
Yeah, no, I think authenticity is a great word to describe the film, like the things that happen in there. Like arguably it's a rom-com, but like the romance is ambiguous, which feels very real. Like, was there any pressure, or like has someone come up to you and said like we need a happy ending or a definitive ending?
No, but there were people who definitely was questioning like, oh, but what does happen? Like, is it romantic? Is it friendly? I did have those questions a lot. And yeah, very purposely like made it quite ambiguous, because I think the more important thing for me in their relation is the kind of Agnes being brave enough to kind of open up and tell someone how she feels, knowing that he maybe doesn't know exactly what that feels like. And it can be, I feel like, well, because I've also, previously had a life where I hadn't experienced anything mental health related, and it sounded so abstract to me, and I wanted to bring in that, like this sweet character of Esmond who's so awkward and just like not knowing, but he still has the best of intentions and he still wants to be there for her. So I think it was more their connection and showing that it's the connection and having someone to talk to about what she's going through that is really giving her that hope. And then whether it's friendly, whether it's romantic, I kept it ambiguous, and I think it's also because their relationship is very delicate and kind of awkward as well. So I think it's nice to have it kind of open-ended, really. Yeah.
So thank you very much for your time. It's been wonderful. I guess last question, what's next for Icelandic Poppies and what's next for yourself?
This is the final festival it's gone to. It's been, we made it like 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago. So it's had a lovely run around the world. So this is the final festival it's going to, but been such a pleasure making that film. And now, I'm at film school. I'm at the National Film and Television School. So I'm going to try and bring that Scandinavian approach we've seen in Icelandic Poppies into some short films that I'll do at the school, but in the English language. So I'm very excited to direct stuff in English, basically. So that's what's coming up. More short films for sure, and then hopefully eventually a feature of some sort. But let's see where we get to.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.